it's a titty. Like, I'm sorry, it's a titty. So I'm gonna look. Hey, before we get into this episode, as always, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Give me a thought, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think of the podcast, either on the audio platform you're listening or on YouTube. It helps with the algorithm, helps expand the people watching. I've been getting some new comments from some fresh faces. Really appreciate it, and thank all of you new subscribers, like the 4 or 5 of y'all as well. All right, let's get into it. Thanks. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 165 of the podcast. This one's longer than expected, but I think it's good. A good variety of information, topics, a bit more serious than we've been doing for the past few weeks. I really talk about societal issues. I break down a menu of how I study Japanese and study advice. I tell a story about police interaction, as well as some of the challenges, links related to challenges living in Japan, and then round things off with a discussion of some of the what did I talk about? The Japanese society and some of the changes going on there. Sprinkled in between, we also have links related to a couple of interesting places I stopped by. So pretty good episode, a lot of variety of shit for you. As I've been doing before, there's quite a few links for you to check out at your leisure as well. So, bowling, enjoy. Hey everyone, hello, welcome to episode, what's this 165? Well, I think it's 165 of the podcast. Another glorious evening, late night, as you can probably tell. Before I go to bed, I'm starting to record on Tuesdays because I can just sleep in on Wednesday. I work late on Wednesday. I got like some housework, some yard work to do in a Japanese yard, a small one, but I got to cut down a tree and destroy a plant and stuff like that. Do some pest control, to make sure this place stays pest free. But yeah. I'm drinking water this time. No beer. I'm saving that for the next episode. Like the past few episodes, I've been doing a lot of love advice and stuff like that. I'm gonna get off that this time just to deal with a few more serious topics. Not super serious, a little bit, mix of stuff, but not related to like dating and stuff like that. But on the next episode, I got something interesting. I got an interesting piece of footage that I stumbled upon that I'm gonna share and break down with you guys. I think you're gonna really enjoy it. I mean, isn't it? More than the footage, I think you'll find my breakdown and feedback of it interesting. I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but just stay tuned into the next episode. You're probably gonna want to watch that on YouTube. What else has been going on with me? Oh shit, sorry, got this cable all fucked up. Okay. What else has been going on with me? My back is better. My back is a lot better, which is good. So I haven't started working out. I probably need to start working out again soon, but yeah, the Olympics are starting soon. I'm surprised. I was wrong. The dream team is set. The American dream team is set. I'm surprised they talk some motherfuckers into coming over here. Well, if you follow the NBA, there's a lot of injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, I was kind of surprised the amount of people that they were able to get over here. But hey, good for you guys. Good luck. Yeah, kind of counting down to the games. I don't really feel the Olympic spirit here so much. Everyone's just kind of like, oh, is it really gonna happen? Okay, it's happening. All right, whatever kind of feeling to it. As far as I can tell, I don't have any tickets, so I'm not really doing anything. My wife is like, "Would you want to go?" I'm like, "Yeah, not really. I'm just kind of over it. I'm just sick of talking about it. To be honest with you, I just kind of want to get past everything and move forward with the world and life and stuff like that. But hey, I mean, I've talked about this before. I don't know if I've talked about this in previous Olympics. Maybe I have, like in Winter Olympics. But like, I don't enjoy watching the Olympics here at all because basically like TV, yeah, it's Japan, but TV just shows Japanese athletes, and it's gonna be the Tokyo Olympics, so it's gonna just be nonstop Japanese athlete news, and like even if they're not doing well, even if they fucking suck, they just cover it nonstop. So it's just like in replay, like I mean, replay people fucking up, their dives fucking up, like so it's just like. I want to see like the good performances, not really like the shitty ones, but hey, it's not my country, so I can't really complain. But so it just kind of lowers the Olympic spirit for me here when that time of my apologies. Well, yeah, it's midnight. Sorry, tiredness just kind of hit me suddenly. Because I went to Costco today, so early, just a little bit of work in the morning. Ran, came back, grabbed the car, drove to Costco. Me and my wife got a bunch of shit. Came back here, picked up my son, took a nap, ate lunch, took a nap, picked up my son. Came back from that, had a little bit online lesson work, whoop whoop whoop, and then did some other administrative stuff I needed to do. Then teaching my son, I'm trying to get him into Hooked on Phonics, which is progressing. He's actually doing pretty well. The first time I taught him, I thought it was gonna be fucking a waste of time, but yeah, he's actually learned how to read, so it's kind of cool. He's 4.5, which is like I don't remember how I learned how to read, but he's just doing it. And he knows how to what cat and can and man and pan and shit like that is. So he's impressing me. So and then bullshitting around. So like, yeah, I was just getting into things late, but just ready to start the show. So let's start it. Let's get into it. Okay. So I got a couple of things here for you guys. Oh no, before we get started, I could talk about me hanging out with no. Oh no, I'm yawning. I'm tired. Jesus. Okay, sorry. I did have some fun hanging out with Jeff. Last week we had lunch, and I'll just tell you guys now. It's in. I put it in the description. Like we had lunch. I actually went out for like the first time, and I can't even remember how long this is. On my own. I mean, like, 'cause I hung out with Jeff. And we had lunch. Really nice steak place in Roppongi Hills, and maybe I'll put you guys on this. But 1 second, I forgot about this. More Akil's recommendations. I'll find. Just put a note for myself. I'll put the link to the place in the profile. But yeah, it was a nice steak place. I got the steak bowl, with some yuzu kosho, which is kind of like a little spicy, peppery kind of sauce in there. Not peppery so much, but a little bit spicy sauce on top of the beef bowl. Then again, I talked about steak before. Thinly sliced, not super thin, but thinly sliced. But it was a lot of rice in there, so it was really good. And I drank a lot of beer too. I was like, I'm going out, I'm drinking beer. I took the day off, so I had, as I haven't been drinking so much recently. So we just talked, caught up, whatever. And then I wasn't really ready to go back. He had to go back to work, but I had the day off, so I was like, man, it's a nice day. So I hung out, on like, they have this outdoor terrace kind of place. So I hung out there for a little while. Oh, yes. Actually, okay, I do got some funny shit to tell you. So like, I was hanging out there, just outdoor, and they had like a place to serve takeout. So I already ate, but they also had beer. So I had like a couple beers there. And just listening to music, playing, messing around on my phone, just enjoying being outside without a mask. I mean, wasn't around anyone directly, so I, went maskless and just enjoyed doing that for a while, And like one interesting thing that happened to me while I was there was like, I'm just chilling, and I did notice like this lady walk past. Roppongi Hills is kind of like a trendier kind of area. She was like a clearly trendy but kind of weird looking older lady, and like in her 50s, maybe early 50s or something like that. I mean, geez, I'm almost 40, but but whatever. So like, I had an umbrella because it rained earlier, and but it cleared up. It wasn't raining anymore. So like, I put my umbrella. It was like, you know, like a little big round kind of bench, circular bench, big one, you know, with a plant that hit me in the back of the head. It was popping me in the back of the fucking head, like boop 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 boop. And then like a chair, a small table and a chair across, like, you know, around the bench. So you know, before me and Jeff hung out with our families there, I think a few weeks ago, a month or so ago, and we were like, oh, this is a spot we got, you know. It was my first time being there. I didn't know that that spot was actually there in Punky Hills. So you know, I was like, oh, I got too lazy to go anywhere else. He recommended somewhere else to me. I was like, man, fuck this. I'll just go there and just hang out. So I put my umbrella down and I went to go get a beer, and I came back. I mean, my umbrella is clearly there, right? Like on the, like, clearly there. And that same kind of weird lady, I came back. Like, I mean, I didn't go far either. Like, I went like 10 feet, maybe 20 feet, maybe a couple meters, 10 meters, maybe. You know, clearly you could see, you know, my umbrella, you can see me. And that same weird lady who was kind of half eyeballing me, passing a couple of times, I came back. She was sitting in my chair, you know, and I'm like, you know, and I was just like, oh, you know, and then she's kind of like, oh, you know, and I was like, oh, you know, she's like, oh, is this your seat? Kind of gesturing, is this your seat? I was like, because my umbrella's right there. I'm like, oh, no, it's okay. I'll jump with this. It's okay. And so I grabbed my umbrella, and she's like, oh, okay. And then she just like starts patting her chair, like for me to sit next to her. But she's like a, you know, 50 something. I mean, I'm not trying to be ageist or anything, but she's kind of past, you know, like I'm good. I'm good. So I just kind of like, you know, grab my umbrella. I'm like, daijoubu desu. Like, that's okay. And I just like walk around to the other end of the like thing, you know. It's just kind of like, oh, hey, the older lady, she was trying to cougar my ass, like, you know, like grandma cougar my ass, you know, but but I was not in that mood, you know, so I just kind of like went around the other end and had one more beer, and I went to Shibuya actually, and because I still wasn't ready to go back home, you know, and so I was like, where the fuck did I go? All right, let me go to Shibuya. I haven't been to Shibuya in forever. And just walked around for a little bit, trying to find some places. I went to Tatsuichi, which is like a really common izakaya everyone goes to, but it was like really sketchy at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was just like a bunch of foreign dudes in there, and I was just like, whoa, these dudes look really sketchy. I mean, not like dangerous sketchy, but just like, I realized that's not the place to hang out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So like I started trying to go to all the spots that I used to go to, and like all of them are closed. Like I you know, the 300 yen bar I used to go to a lot. One of my favorite spots turned into a dart bar now. I wanted to go somewhere else. I was looking for a craft beer place that I knew that closed down, but eventually I did find another craft beer place that that link is in the description. That was actually really chill. They had a really nice variety of craft beers. So again, like I could kind of socially distance, you know, and because I was just like near the door, and you know there weren't really any people next to me, so you know I could just enjoy my beer, you know, take bullshit on my phone, and just enjoy like a few more beers before going back home, which is really nice. You know, just like a day excursion out was kind of cool, and I worked late the next day. So check out those links of those two places, you know, in the description. You know, just sharing information. I think interesting places to go if you are in Tokyo, if you didn't know about them, or you know, when you come here eventually, you can check those out. I don't know, the place is called OL something. I don't know how popular or established it is, because again, like I had never been there before, so it definitely popped up since my last time being in Shibuya. And again, and since turning like 30 plus, Shibuya is not really my go-to place to hang out anymore. I kind of graduated from there a bit. Even, you know, the only reason why I went to Shibuya is just because it was on my way home, for one, and two, it was the daytime. Like, I just wanted to kind of see how Shibuya had changed, which it fucking totally changed. I was like, holy shit, all this shit is new. I could tell, kind of see all the touristy construction going on and stuff like that. So that was kind of interesting to really just see and observe the changes to my old stomping grounds. And I felt kind of old, but it was still cool. A lot of fun. So, okay. So that's what's new with me. Okay, let me get into some of these topics that I have for you guys. I'm just gonna blast through these because you heard me yawning before. I am starting a little bit later than I wanted to, but okay, so I learned a new word recently, and I don't know how popular this word is. Like, I literally heard this word like about a week ago for the first time because I was watching some random sketch, which I put on in the link, and it's the title is "People Who Think They Speak Japanese Because They Watch Anime," and it's like a series this popular YouTuber did, and he was talking about a weeb. And, you know, maybe I'm old, I don't know, but, you know, I had to Google it, and I was like, oh, shit, yeah, weeb is just, let me get the official definition of shit, because I kind of forgot. Now, I don't want to misspeak, but, I mean, my wife and I, we checked it out. A weeb is a derisive term for a non-Japanese person who is obsessed with Japanese culture, is so obsessed with Japanese culture that they wish they were actually Japanese. Yes. And like, this is an interesting term for me because, yeah, I don't like weebs, like, just generally speaking. And I kind of I was thinking about it, like, I guess like Japanophiles and weebs are different, but maybe I'm okay with Japanophiles. I think people are just obsessed with Japan, you know, and I was talking to my wife, and it kind of goes back to something I was talking about in the last episode, that you know, humility. One thing I realized, like, weebs, the reason why I don't like weebs, because in my opinion, they lack humility, right? Thinking that because you love anime and because you love, you know, ramen or whatever the fuck you're into, you know, that, you know, you get Japan, and Japan, you know, speaks to your soul or whatever the fuck your reasons are. I mean, hey, whatever, it's your life. I'm not just here to shit on weebs, but for me personally, like, that lacks humility in trying to understand Japanese culture. And what I find with dealing with these people when they come to Japan is that they don't really like Japan or love Japan how much they think. They love the idea of Japan. And by meaning that, like, they love what they think Japan is to them. The aspects of Japan that they find cool or interesting, and become completely obsessed with that, and think that that is the country in a nutshell, but it really isn't. And, you know, that they don't have the humility to enter Japan and, you know, with an open mind and say, well, wow, I don't know what I don't know, so let me actually see, you know, I have this image about this culture, it's interesting to me, let me find out more about it. It's like, oh yeah, I know that, I saw that in blah 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 blah, whatever. Like, it's just like, okay, I can't fucking talk to you, dumbass. Like, it's kind of how I take it, you know. But it is a fine line. And yeah, just going back to what I was saying before, you know, humility is kind of a really, really important kind of thing, because Japanese people will just let you talk and make an ass out of yourself. They're not really going to correct you. And I think especially weebs, because Japanese people don't necessarily directly correct them or get pissed off at them, you know, they take that as like free range to be like, I am the king of or queen of Japan. And it's just like, no, you're just like some weirdo who's just like talking about. I've heard Japanese people, like, you know, when I didn't know the word for it, but like, you know, talk about people that they met and they talk to them, and I'm like, let me guess. He's like, yeah, it's kind of weird. The person just wants to. I took them out for Japanese food. They just only wanted to eat ramen. I'm just like, oh, Jesus, you know, you know. I'm like just because you've seen it on Naruto, like, oh yeah, because the Naruto is, you know, like I don't even know what the fuck they talk about. Like, but let me just stop shitting on these people. But just check out the skit. I thought it was funny and interesting, and I'm really happy. Like those people didn't exist when, or didn't exist or weren't so common when I lived in America, because I would have fucking gone crazy. And I'm so happy there aren't that many people like that here in Japan right now. I'm sure after everything opens back up, they'll be flocking back in. But luckily for me, they only have a superficial image of Japan and really only go to really touristy areas, or, you know, and play basically places that I don't fucking hang out at. So I rarely have encounters with them. Although, gosh, I do remember, I don't know if I told you this, like, told you guys this, but I remember once, I mean, if you want to have fun, that's fine, but just know Japanese people think you're a fucking asshole. Like, or just fucking dorky, I don't know, a weirdo or something. Because I remember, like, I never forget this, like, I was in Omotesando one evening, after maybe coming back from work or something, and like randomly I remember I saw these 3 white guys walking up the hill, and they had like Ichiban headbands, like you. Sorry, I just got. I can't believe I said that. Like, I mean, it's fine. Like, you know, if you're abroad outside Japan wearing like a Ichiban headband, it's okay. You know, I guess it's like a you know, a quirky touristy kind of thing. But they were dead smack in the middle of a trendy ass area in Tokyo with like all of them big ass Ichiban headbands and like fucking umbrella katanas, you know, walking around like, yeah. You look like the biggest fucking dork in history. Like, I'm sorry. It's like, yo, I mean, they were having fun, and I'm not knocking that. I'm just telling you how it is. Like, Japanese people were around them just like, because Japanese people don't openly laugh. They'll just kind of like look at each other like, you see that shit? And then just kind of giggle after you leave, you know. But yeah, I was like shocked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was fucking amazing. So I don't know. That's my weeb conversation. Studying, I'm gonna run through these kind of quick because I can feel myself starting to get sleepy. I kind of want to wrap up the episode in 20-30 minutes, and I'm rambling already. Okay, so Japan study advice. Yeah, Joshua sent me a few links. I'm just gonna blast through this really quickly. You can check this out. Joshua or anyone studying Japanese, don't do what this guy says. Okay. I believe the title of it is I learned Japanese for 1 hour a day for 600 days straight. Don't do what the fuck this guy says. Okay, because for several reasons. First off, his goal was, you know, to understand, I think, video games and TV and stuff like that. He was more focused on reading and understanding Japanese, not really like outputting, communicating with Japanese people directly. First thing to really take into account. Okay, second thing to take into account, like, for this is all from memory for me. I watched this a few days ago. Like, you know, he used Duolingo. Well, okay, fuck what he did. Okay, just don't do what he did. Okay, I'll tell you what I did, and I'll tell you what similar people like me did. So first thing, you know, let's take someone starting from zero, starting from nothing, right? Starting from scratch. I say first get the first textbook I would recommend, which was recommended to me, GENKI. Okay, GENKI is a Japanese textbook. Whatever. Okay, I'll just say GENKI. Okay, fuck it. Since I'm doing all this, let me put it in the thing. NKI textbook. 1 second. Okay. I'll put a Amazon. It'll probably be Amazon. Whatever. I'll put a fucking Amazon link in there, somewhere for you guys. Probably GENKI 1. If you can learn here, if you've learned, or before that, okay, before GENKI 1, what I would recommend, okay, because what I did on your own, learn hiragana and katakana. That'll be the first, right? If you learn hiragana, katakana, get a book or a textbook, or I think I got some textbook or something to study hiragana and katakana, and I was able to read hiragana and katakana. After I was able to read hiragana and katakana, I started on GENKI 2. I didn't start on GENKI 1. I think GENKI 1 is Romaji, which is written in English, Japanese written in English, but the people, Will specifically, and my old boss at the time didn't really recommend that, and I would say that too. Recommended because I got to the point of learning hiragana and probably katakana at that time. They recommended I just go into GENKI 2, and it is true. I would say, like, the pace of your Japanese study will pick up quite a bit if you learn hiragana and katakana first. It's like learning the alphabet first, and then study textbooks that are only written in Japanese. And I think GENKI 2 is all Japanese, so you're forcing yourself to read Japanese. You're not like starting at a base in your own language, and your pronunciation gets strange. Becomes strange if you're reading Japanese in English, like in Romaji, which is like, written out in English. Like, me too. Like, if I look at a Japanese word written out in English, I have trouble figuring out what it is because the base of my thinking is in Japanese. The base of my thinking is not in English. So my pronunciation, my reading, everything, kanji or hiragana or katakana, whatever, is the base what I started from. So it's similar to like a Japanese person. That's how Japanese kids learn. So it might suck in the beginning. I didn't really focus on writing so much. Like, my my son's handwriting looks probably as good as mine does now, because textbooks start you as writing them out. I wrote out for a while, and I did also start kanji. I think I practiced writing like about 100 kanji, and then after a while I just got tired of it and just visually remembering the parts, which did help me because understanding the parts of a kanji and stroke order and stuff like that, it did help me. But I just kind of gave up on it after a while, just because like I'll just type stuff. I don't really need to write stuff out so on a regular basis. But the only times I have to write my name or like my wife's name or something, like, or like for my company, I have to write down Kabushiki Gaisha or, Daihyo Torishimayaku or something like that, like really complicated kanji. I'm just like, sorry to the people. Fuck, So, but whatever. Yeah, so, okay. So, started with GENKI, hiragana, katakana, then go to GENKI 2 is what I did, right? Hiragana, katakana textbook, then go to GENKI 2 directly. Then I think GENKI 2 and GENKI 3, I want to say, is what I did. Then after that, I went to Japanese class, and that's what I would recommend. If your goal is communication, I wouldn't go to Japanese class in the beginning directly, because you're not really going to spend, you're going to kind of waste your time and money, in my opinion. And that's what was told to me as well, and I believe it's kind of true, because all that's going to happen is you're not going to know what the fuck is going on. You're not going to have any base of language, so half the time your teacher's going to be explaining shit to you in English anyway, right? So what you want is to be at the level where, even if it's extremely basic, you can deal with an all Japanese lesson, right? Even if it's your teacher, like, I remember the first word, my teacher, it took her like 3 weeks to teach me Jido Hanbaiki, which is like a vending machine. And I don't know why she wanted to teach me Jido Hanbaiki so much, but that's what she did. So, she was like Jido Hanbaiki, okay, and Jihanki, which is like the abbreviated, and like, okay, but I don't know why, whatever. It was like a more affordable class, so maybe she was just making shit up. I don't know. Should I tell this story? Okay, I'll tell the story. Like, the only thing I remember from that, one of the main things I remember, of course, Jido Hanbaiki. And there was a woman from another, it was like a group lesson. And so it was a woman from another country. I forgot what country she was. But I just remember she came with her, like, toddler son. And she used to breastfeed him in this class, or she did breastfeed. I remember she breastfed him one time, like, and he was kind of like a big kid. He was maybe like 2 years old. And so I'm just trying to learn, say, jihanbaiki, and I look over, I just got a titty popping out, and this kid's just sucking away, you know. Now, I'm not one of these people that's like offended by breastfeeding, by the way. Like, I know people fucking think it's disgusting. It's a titty. Like, I'm sorry, it's a titty, so I'm gonna look. So the only memory I have is like me like listening to her and like kind of glancing over like, oh, her titty's out. That's the only thing I remember. Okay, whatever. Anyway. Anyway, I digress. It's okay, yeah. Then go to Japanese class, right? So you can deal with all Japanese, and specifically, I would recommend specifically instruct your teacher that you want to take your lessons in all Japanese, right? Even if it's tough, if it's rough in the beginning, you know, if you have a base of, you know, hiragana, katakana, Genki 2 will teach you some basic sentence structure, you know, some of the basic verbs and vocabulary that you need, then you will have a base to go into Japanese class, right? After you do that, you get a foothold, you got some basic conversation skills like me, then I would add the Japanese language test, JLPT, give you kind of a benchmark to really start hitting your kanji, and give you kind of like rails to ride on. Of course, continuing Japanese class so that you're working on your conversational skills. The JLPT will teach you sentence structure, grammar, kanji, vocabulary, and give you kind of benchmarks to hit for that. Then, you know, let's say JLPT 3, I believe, or, sorry, not JLPT 3, that'll be maybe N4, I would say. If you can pass N4 of the JLPT, then I would start watching Japanese TV shows, which is something I added as well to help my listening comprehension and just, you know, start bringing stuff all together, you know, culturally understanding how Japanese people interact with each other, mannerisms, you know, actually seeing some of the phrases that you're learning in action, you know, intonation, pronunciation, things like that. You pick up a lot of those things. You have to be careful, of course, what TV shows you watch. You're not going to be watching fucking, you know, Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. Like, you know, watch everyday shows like Sazae-san, like Chibi Maruko-chan. Those were kind of my go-tos in the beginning. And then I branched out. And again, now I'm watching this crazy ass, like, drama about like what I was getting ready about, like some chick who has like 5 sex friends, and you know, friends with benefits. I say sefle is sex friend, but bad Japanese. Don't don't fucking remember that. But she has like, you know, 5, you know, friends with benefits, and her life is a mess and shit like that. Whatever, it's a weird show. I was just like, well, I don't know. I just wanted to watch something weird in Japanese. I like watching weird Japanese shit and listen to Japanese people use dirty words now. Like, that's interesting to me, you know. So yeah. So you know, but if you have a base, and then, you know, going higher in NLP, JLPT and things like that is kind of how I, and more advanced TV shows and pushing the envelope with that, and then your interactions with Japanese people is kind of how I got my thing, and how a lot of people around me got their communicative ability. And that's kind of how, in the reverse, is kind of similar things is what I recommend to my students as well, and what I'm recommending to you. So basically, don't follow Joshua or anybody listening. Don't do what the fuck this dude said at all. That would probably be the menu that I've seen, that I've experienced and successfully, to whatever degree you want to say successfully, have followed, and I would say other people have successfully followed as well. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay. Fuck, man. Okay, god damn. Okay. Shit. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna plow through these. Rod, sorry, cause I got some shit I wanted to say too. All right. Well, I'm gonna go through these. Like, Rod, is it this part? No. Okay. I also stumbled across interesting thing from Trash Talk, I think. I forgot the guy's name. I talked about he was a host before. but yeah, they had an episode of their podcast talking about the challenges of living in Japan. Yeah, Trash Talk, I think is the name of it. Just go ahead and watch that. Again, they, for me, are the people who, again, don't really lack the patience about living in Japan. Maybe they have the, what did I say? I said, what the fuck were the three qualities I said before? God damn it, I'm forgetting all my shit. I said, what did I say? Patience, flexibility. Yeah, okay. I would say maybe patience and flexibility. They don't really have as much of, and but I mean, they're of course they're doing a show and they're kind of laughing about things, but you can kind of see like you got to have patience in a way of being able to accept that things are just the way that they are, and yeah, it might be ass backwards, and you can listen to them go into it. They were quite right about several things, but and you do go into a stage in your life in Japan where you're just complaining about everything, but Japan is Japan. It doesn't bend to your will. And that's something that you have to understand about that. The powerlessness of living in this country, that, yeah, there are things that are completely ass backwards that make absolutely no fucking sense, that are completely entrenched into society, and you just have to take it up the pooper. You just got to deal with it. You got to suck it up and just, get fucked by Japanese society sometimes, because that's just what happens, I'm not going to go into it, but listen to them. They'll freak out about it. I'm to the point, and a lot of people are, I have casual conversations about it, but I don't get up in arms about this shit anymore, because I just understand, like, that's Japan. That's what you signed up for. That's what you got to deal with as long as you live in this fucking country. But yeah, go ahead. It's like an hour-long thing. I think the second half of the episode, they start shitting on Japan, but pretty interesting stuff. The Black in Japan podcast, he also talked about being stopped by police. He actually gives video footage of him being stopped by police. I was gonna tell us, I gotta start talking about it. I'll just tell it. Okay. A few months ago, I think maybe a couple of years ago, maybe before last year sometime, or something about last year sometime, I think I told you about an slightly unpleasant encounter I had with the police, which this kind of reminded me of, and this is probably the most unpleasant encounter I had with the police that I can remember. Whatever, I'll just tell it. It's not that bad, but pretty much, it does remind me of the news article. I actually came to my mind about Azabujuban and a kid being stopped in Azabujuban and being in trouble from there by that. That we talked about, I believe we talked about on this podcast a few years ago, but pretty much like, I was in Azabujuban. I dropped off my wife and my son at one of her friends' place. Like, she has like a nail place, and whatever. Her husband does like a kids kind of language studio in the same kind of work area. And so she was going to get her nails done, and I was kind of dressed a little bit casually. And I believe I had a mask on, and I was going back, and a police officer saw me. And so, I'm a big black guy. I was dressed casual. I had like a Nike windbreaker on and something, and a hat. I looked kind of casual for the area, so he kind of stopped me, friendly, of course, like Japanese police stop you in a friendly way, like, oh, excuse me, can I see your ID? Which is not necessary, the law was changed, I think, about 10 years ago, that you're not obligated to show Japanese police your ID, your foreign registration card. When I came to Japan, you were obligated to show it to them. Now you're not, but, I just do anyway. If I'm asked for it, I just do, because it's just, whatever. It's Japan. Again, in Japan, he talks about it as well. Like, there's not that, like, adversarial kind of relationship between, especially minorities, black people specifically, and the police here. So there's not that history. So I try not to carry that over into Japan, and I don't get on defensive around the police automatically here. Again, I have been stopped a few times in police, but this is the first time in several years I've been stopped. So, but it was because, as I remember that article, it kind of, bing, my antenna went up a little bit. And I'm not sure if he stopped me because I looked up at the officer, I looked back down at my phone or something like that. I was changing music or something like that. I can't remember, whatever. But whatever, whatever. So the guy stopped me, and he asked me for my ID, which for a second I was kind of like, because I was in Sabujuban, I remembered the article. It was broad daylight, and I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I showed him, and he was like, oh, I live in Yokohama, which is kind of quite far from that area. And so that kind of also kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I could feel him be like, aha, he's suspicious. You don't belong here. Not because I'm black, but just because, I'm dressed casually. It's kind of a very like classy kind of area, Beverly Hills, Orange County. No, that's a bad example. I don't fucking know. Like uptown Manhattan kind of area, I guess, would be an equivalent. I don't really know New York's layout so much, but it's kind of like a downtown, maybe Manhattan-y kind of area. Suburb, maybe probably uptown Manhattan will probably be equivalent of it. So so I gave him a card, and then he's like, oh, you're from Yokohama, and clearly he's like, okay, my card's fine. And I'm looking at him like, can I go? I'm starting to get a little bit agitated, and he asked me if he could look in my wallet, and that kind of made me a bit defensive. That never happened to me before in Japan. I kind of know he was like looking for drugs or something, and that offended me, and I was thinking, I didn't think at that moment, but like afterwards I was thinking, if I should have put up more of a fuss, because you kind of go through that, if you're stopped by the police and like, what should I have done? You kind of, look back on things. But my first immediate reaction was for my wife's friend, because I'm in their area and her husband is also black. So, I could have made it, I could have been like, hold up, I'm calling them. They could have ran out. My wife start, going off on them, like, what the fuck, but that creates, I know, like, that area is kind of like a little bit exclusive area. That kind of creates an issue for them. So I was on the defensive a little bit because of that. And I kind of like hesitated. And I was like, clearly, found myself getting, upset, like pissed off. And so reluctantly, I gave him my wallet. And, he kind of like looked inside the pockets and stuff like that. And then, and then he kind of, he can see, and he can see like, I'm like staring daggers into the guy, cause I'm just like, are you fucking happy now? And, I in my mind, I'm kind of thinking back and forth, like, should I escalate the situation? I'm not really, you can tell I'm not the kind of person that really does that, but it was on my mind if I should like make a fuss, but every time like I kind of wanted to start getting loud or rude, I kind of was thinking back to them up the street in their business. So, because, you might think like, because basically in Japan, like, interactions with the police kind of go like this. If you're stopped by the police or the police are messing with you, it automatically means you're doing something wrong. It's kind of the perception in Japan. So if I start, yelling, or I start getting upset, or I make other people come, his boss, his manager come up, and I hold, because I had time. I could have just like, yo, we need to go into the station, buddy. Let's talk to your boss, but that creates a scene and disturbs the peace of the area, and automatically makes me and other people who look like me to the people who are, have shops, who have residences there and things like that. It automatically leaves a bad impression with them, which automatically gets associated with, my wife's friend and her husband. And that's something that weighed on me quite heavily. And it weighed on me quite heavily after. Of course, the guy gave me my wallet back, and he's like, oh, have a nice day. And I just kind of was just staring daggers at him, and just like kind of like took my stuff back and left. But wasn't particularly pleased about the situation. Again, like I said, when I started, like when I talked about the situation before, that's why I didn't talk about it originally. I mean, it's not like traumatic or anything like that. It's just something that was mildly upsetting, and mildly disappointing, and, maybe kind of second guess my actions or how I handled the situation. But it's not like anything soul searching or like, oh my God, I didn't like, take a cold shower and like cry in the fucking bathtub when I got home or anything like that. But, it did make me think, and, just watching his reaction to that video, it did, bring me back to that situation. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll share with you guys. But, that is my worst interaction with police in Japan. That honestly, that's my worst interaction with police in Japan. I don't have any. I mean, that cop was being mildly asshole-ish, but I don't really fear or. I mean, of course, I see a squad car behind me. Naturally, my African American, experiences kind of kick in for half a second, but I've had police behind me, in front of me, and again, they're kind of peacekeepers and generally not law enforcers. They're not looking to, hunt for reasons to arrest people. So police just kind of like let me go, like they just let me go about my way, like, oh, it's a black guy, okay, he's driving, whatever, like like it's not like a big thing at all. So everyone might not have the same experience as me, but as you can see from him, he said it was his first time being stopped by the police. Generally, that's how police are here, and I would say you don't have to feel automatically on defense if you're around police here. Just whatever. Every per to each his own, but that's my personal experience here. And again, that like I don't need any comments like, oh my gosh, like, it was fine. It was like I said, it was mildly annoying, honestly. And I was a little bit, a little bit ticked off about it for like a couple of days, but that's about it. It wasn't like anything like, why do you have to deal with that type shit? So don't worry about the comments. Don't worry about anything. Like, it was totally fine. So, but go ahead and check out his take on it as well. Don't take my word for it. But Reading Rainbow? Anybody? No? Okay. Okay. Rod, yeah. Fuck, that's gonna be almost an hour episode. Fuck, okay. Yeah, Jesus, almost 1:00 in the morning. Shit. Okay. To round things off with the article, really interesting article from Rod about the underclass in Japan, the growing underclass in Japan, and it's true. There is a growing underclass in Japan. I'll let the article speak for itself. Really good statistics, really good breakdown of the history of the underclass in Japan. I would also add that there's a geographic. The main thing I'll add to it, and I'll just let you kind of read everything on your own, is just because I'm getting sleepy. Sorry, is to understand, like, one thing I had to remember too after a few years here. There's a big difference between the Tokyo area, or even so much the Osaka area, and the other parts of Japan, right? Tokyo does not equal Japan, and they're very different, right? And so if you spend a lot of time in Tokyo, you might get the impression that there's it's like this futuristic, super clean, hyper middle class kind of society, but there is very much an underclass that is growing and swelling and struggling to keep their head above water here. And especially in the countryside, suburban, more rural areas, if you go there, spend some time there. Again, I recommend getting a driver's license, driving through different parts of Japan. You will ride through some small towns where you're like, holy shit, like, you start doing some calculations. You're like, yo, where's all the money from this town come from? Besides some farmers and some people like that, it's aging. There aren't really many businesses thriving there. And so Japan is shrinking. And not only that, the work system has changed. So the perception in the past, like the article talks about, of like 90-something% middle class is very much changing. It is being stratified. It is splitting. And I believe that split is going to become more and more extreme over time. In Japan, underclass will start to, solidify, and people who are thriving or being somewhat well off will just be all right. I mean, like, that's why I'm going into this part of the game, understanding that, and I'm just trying to be on the other side of that fence, above that borderline for me and my family. That's my only goal. I'm not really worried about the morality of it. I'm not really, I just see it coming, and I'm just trying to get over that hump. That's the only thing that I'm trying to get us over that hump. That's all. So if you're in Japan long term, that's something that you definitely need to recognize, and understanding that for you to be, as a guy, dating advice, for you to be a legitimate partner, in many cases, for like the average Japanese woman, she wants guarantees that you're gonna be on the other side, you know, above that line as well. Your dreams, your goals don't mean shit. Like I said, in Japan, nobody gives a fuck about your dreams. It's what stability. Like I was thinking about it today. Like I remember when my wife and I were dating, and you know, or maybe when we first got married, I think, and like, you know, we were working our shit out, but like, you know, I was freelancing for those 5 years, and you know, when my business started really picking up, I was working my ass off, and she always used to say, like, we if we got into a fight, she'd say, "We don't have any insurance. We don't have any insurance," and you know, I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I think maybe we didn't enter the national health insurance at that time, but I couldn't really understand what she was talking about. But basically, now it makes more sense to me. You know, she was saying we don't have any safety net. You know, there's like, if, yeah, everything's in the West, we think, yeah, everything's going fine now. It'll be all right. We'll work it out. But in Japan, Japanese people don't really think like that. And wanting some stability, wanting some backup in case, and not just like a nest egg. You know, if you are like a seishain, if you are a regular employee, you have that company backing behind you, you know, in case you fall down, in case you stumble. If you're, you know, on your own, if you're making moves out here, you don't have anything, you know. And so for a potential partner, she's thinking about herself, her kids, and their future, you know, and sometimes in unrealistic ways, but you know, that's kind of the truth. So you have to kind of understand that's what you're getting yourself into. Over time, of course, my wife and I, we worked on those issues and those problems, and we kind of now come to an agreement, because she can, mainly because I fixed myself and I kind of have a direction I'm going to in life, and we've kind of gained a sense of direction and communication. So, but that's not going to be the case every time, and that kind of leads to some divorces and things, ugly, sticky situations. Because if you think about it, again, I told you, changes quite drastically after you get married. So if you go in, you're the boyfriend, everything's lovey-dovey. You get married, you have a kid, and then you're still doing what you're doing. And then over time, she starts getting worried and realizes that she can't rely on you for the future. She might just say fuck it and bolt. Like, if she's not that flexible person, that happens sometimes. And so the last thing you want to do is be in a powerless position where you can't see your kids and shit like that. So just get your shit together. Get your shit together the best way you can. And you know, I mean, no, not the fuck the best way you can. Just get your shit together. Okay, okay. That's all I can say. And just avoid any of those type of sticky situations, and make yourself a potential the best version of yourself. And I say wherever you are, that's probably the case too. So all right, lots of supplemental materials for you guys. Let me just leave it there. Next week, don't worry. Next week we're gonna get back to some bullshit. I got some shit I'm probably gonna do. I got this one A1 video that I really am looking forward to breaking down for you guys. And I'll look for some other shit too. I'll just give you a hint. Like, I'm looking for Japanese content. I'm not looking for anything in English. All this, the stuff I'm probably gonna show you. The one video I'm gonna show you is in Japanese. I'm probably gonna look for some other stuff so that you can kind of see how Japanese people interact in, you know, dating and flirting and talking and stuff like that. And of course, I'll interject and give some breakdowns and shit like that. I'm not gonna tell you what to say. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but you know, it's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to doing it. I'm gonna be drinking. Okay, I am gonna be drinking. So I know, Rod. I know it. The conversation becomes a bit more colorful, you know, when I let loose and have a couple drinks. So we'll do it that way. I might even drink some wine. I haven't drunk wine in a while, so I might drink some red wine and talk some shit. So we'll see. We'll figure it out. But until then, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.